morning, everyone. I'm really happy that I can join you. It's an amazing event that reminds me the first Magento Imagine. So maybe one day it will become the Magento Imagine 2.0. Who knows? And I'm happy to have you here because web accessibility topic, even if it's important and it's about customer experience, it's usually much farther in the priorities of merchant strategies or agencies. We know that it's important, but it's usually something more important before accessibility. So I'm really happy that you are here, and I can see that you are here because you want to learn more how we can not only make the world better with accessibility, but how we can use it to have a better return of investment, how we can turn it into money when we are talking about e-commerce. So like e-commerce in general, it's not a charity. It's about profits. So if we are doing it more accessible, it's just not to make world better. It's about making the store better. So like a few words first about my journey with accessibility, because it's already pretty long. I started my web career as a web developer back in 2003. And at that time, I started with a book that was super popular at the time. It was a book called Designing with Web Standards by New York designer and developer Jeffrey Zeldman. And I was so fascinated about web standards that we can design something, we can design a website, and it will be universal. Everyone can access this information. It doesn't matter how they use the internet, what browser they use. They can have the same information. We can have one universal message to everyone. Of course, it was a little bit naive that it can work like that, but the idea was great. And together with web standards, I started thinking about accessibility. Because it's like one thing is that we can see it in different browsers, but the other thing is that some people use websites in a different way, and how we can make the same message accessible to all of them. So at that time, it was more like a hobby for me. I was designing websites in somehow the easiest way, so I can just sell it to clients, but I was learning about accessibility. I was trying to work with some organizations who are helping disabled people to understand their needs, to understand how it should be structured to make everything accessible. And there's a interesting fact. At that time, in 2003, one of the most popular technology for building layouts was to use tables. So like if you wanted to have a nice layout on the website, we were just using a table, not for data, but for layout. And there was a very common myth that tables are terrible for accessibility. So my mission was, let's remove tables. Yeah? Like we need to build everything accessible. And when I was talking to some of my blind friends, they said, no, don't worry about tables. We know how to use them. It's not the biggest problem. It's not the biggest accessibility problem. And that was the first sign when I started seeing that accessibility is not about technology. It's about broader understanding how to deliver the message. And this is something what actually, it's good that I'm following Nicole's presentation that is about people. And here is exactly the same. Technology is just a tool, but it's people who need to understand how to use it the right way. And why we talk about accessibility at all? Because of the numbers. Like if we, whatever we sell, or whatever store we build, some of our clients will have some kind of disabilities. 1.3 billion people. So some of them are our customers, and it doesn't matter what product or service we sell. If we don't make it accessible, we are just saying that we don't have a part of this 1.3 billion. So this is like a big number. And 1 of 6 people have some kind of disabilities. So this is like a big number. 15, 16%. That's really something. Yeah, like when we are trying to improve conversion and we really try to get 1% more. So 1% is a lot and 15% is not. So this is important number. That's why every time when we think that if accessibility is important for me, just look at the number. And even if those numbers are pretty big, look at that. It doesn't matter what legal rules are in different countries or how big are the numbers of the potential clients. 80, 90% of e-commerce websites are not accessible. They have some problems with accessibility. And they are very basic. It's not like a rocket science that those websites are completely weird and not possible to fix. Let's look at the most common issues. Images. Very simple thing. But like just presenting a super important promotion and just putting it on the image. It's like, okay, it was simple, it looks pretty, but 1 point, that's a big number that cannot access this information. So links, it's a very common thing that when we look at links, it's pretty obvious that if you see click here, you click here. But if you read click here, link, click here, link, click here, link, yeah, sure, I know where to click. So links, keyboard navigation, not everyone can navigate with mouse. So keyboard navigation is a common problem. And one of the biggest blockers, forms. We need forms. Checkout is a big form. Contact is a big form. If the form is not accessible, like we are losing contact. But what is accessibility? There is a cool hashtag, the abbreviation from accessibility, and if you go to Twitter, that's like a #1 how you want to look for information about accessibility. And the funny fact, I couldn't find information if it was made for purpose or it's just a coincidence, but this abbreviation also looks like ally. So it is that accessibility is our ally. And this is ally for people who need it. So accessibility is about 4 principles. And even if they may sound like a more serious, it's actually super simple. Like to be accessible, it has to be easy to find. First, I need to find what I'm looking for. And when I find it, I need to be able to do something with that. Yeah, so we have perceivable, we have operable. And if I do something, it's usually good that I know what I'm doing. So it should be easy to understand. And the last one is that it should be robust. So if it works in one browser, it's good that it will work in the other one. Or if it works this way, it should really work in a similar somewhere else. And it should be designed this way, that it will also work next week, next month, next year. So that's like 4 very basic things, and they are not complicated at all. We don't talk about technology right now, we just think about the process. When we just do something with our store, if we think about those 4 principles, everything is much easier. Yeah, like we just think how to find it, how to do something with that, with different technologies, and if we can understand, and if it will work the same in some time in the future. And here, I will point out one very important thing that is very often an easy and tempting shortcut. Accessibility widgets. That's easy. There are so many companies that will promise that, yeah, like, get our subscription and we will put you a nice widget, few lines of JavaScript code, and you are fully accessible. No. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. I will tell you a little bit more later about that. But now remember that. And keep remembering that this is a shortcut. It may be like a patch. Something that if you have absolutely no time and you need to do something, it may help, but it also can bring a totally opposite effect. So accessibility widgets are not something that can really bring those 4 principles to action on the store. To understand accessibility, the online, web, digital accessibility, it's good to know the guidelines, the official guidelines for the accessibility. I'm pretty sure that if you are here, you listen about accessibility, you know web content accessibility guidelines. At least you know that something like that exists. We have right now version 2.2, and this guideline is actually showing us different levels of making content accessible. And there is like a very basic level. There is a medium level that should be our goal, whatever we do. But there is also like a super advanced level that, of course, it's perfect. But the thing is, if we should really do everything to be perfect, it's still business. Commerce is a business, so it's always a game of finding a balance when it's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it shouldn't be, because if we try to build a perfect solution just to have a perfect solution, it will never defend itself in business. Why? It's not about building beautiful, perfect websites. It's about selling products or services. And unfortunately, I have here a bad example how losing a font can make it less accessible. So sorry for that. It happens. It may happen. Just changing a font or using the font that is not supported in other place, that can bring such results. And okay, I can tell you about 1A, 2A, AAA, but you look at my presentation, what's that? It's like a tree, Christmas tree, or what is? So small details can make it less accessible. But WCAG, it's a guideline, but it's important that accessibility is not only about web content. That's like a number one. It's not that if our store is not accessible, it doesn't mean that technology can fix it. Technology is just one part of that. Like, we can build a perfect accessible website. It will be well designed, prepared, and launched with the client, and 2 days later, this perfect website will be not accessible. Why? Because e-commerce, or like every content management system online that have some information about products, about services, about whatever, is changing. Every day there is something new. And if people don't know how to use it, they don't know what the accessibility is about, how to use the information, how to work with that, all the beautiful technology, like a big investment to make it the best, will be broken because the images will have no alternative text. And someone will do something like I mentioned at the very beginning, that we have the most important promotion of the year, and we put information about this promotion on an image without alternative text. So this image is not accessible to anyone who cannot see that banner. Of course, like, I'm talking about blind people as an example that most of us think when we are talking about accessibility. But this is just one possible disability that we have to think about. But it's just more than web content. We have to think about human factor, that accessibility is customer service and call center. If we have a client, all of us, if we are from the agency side, or if we are from the merchant side, we know that the customer experience is about contact with merchant. So if our customer service is not really accessible, for example, we have only voice line, and we are not accessible for deaf people. So that's like that's a simple thing. The same, like, we have chat, and this chat will not provide any alternative, and we are making it inaccessible for other group. So call center and customer service, almost no one thinks about it when we think about digital accessibility. But this is all about people. There are simple things. If we use this technology, or we provide some alternative, then we have points of sale. That's a very interesting thing that right now is a hot topic. That when we are going to pay for something, we are paying with a credit card. Let's forget about paying by phone, Apple Pay. Let's think about paying by credit card. And when we want to pay in the terminal, usually we like to use touch screens. It's super handy, it looks nice, but touchscreens are pretty, if they are not prepared the right way, they are super inconvenient. Imagine that you cannot see the touchscreen, you are asked to insert your PIN, and you are standing in the store, buying your shoes, and someone in the store is asking you for your PIN to your credit card. It's totally not accessible. So point of sale is just part of the whole structure of the whole commerce. And of course, this is like a brick and mortar solutions that they have to be accessible. And maybe even architectural accessibility is more recognized, more well-known than digital accessibility, but still, our approach to accessibility should be more holistic. That it's not only about digital, it's not only about physical retail, it has to work all together. And digital products, that's also if we sell videos, if we sell ebooks, if we sell whatever digital product we think about it, almost none of them are really tested for accessibility. So this is something that is a big challenge, also from the technology standpoint, but from the people. If they are planning release of some digital product, if they do it the right way, thinking how to make it accessible. So if it's not only about the web content, it's not about technology, so what is it all about? This is about pricing awareness and understanding. This is the easiest way to make our services or services we provide accessible. It's about training everyone in the organization so people do not learn WCAG guidelines because it doesn't make any sense. But people learn the general principles, those 4 principles, what accessibility means, and they learn about different types of disabilities. So our team will know how to approach different challenges. And when we talk about the team, it's not just front-end developers. It's not like people who manage content, but it's management. Why? Because those people have to approve different decisions, budgets, extra work, or whatever is related to our projects. If they don't understand the accessibility or why accessibility should be taken care of in the first stage at the very beginning, the whole accessibility in the organization will break sooner or later, usually sooner. And we have customer service. We talked about it before. Customer service should be ready for different people with different disabilities. And we are talking here not only about physical disabilities, but let's think about people who have different type of cognitive disabilities. Sometimes it's more or less serious. Sometimes it's just about education. Like our customer service should understand that there is a different way of sending a message to a person with an elementary school, graduated from elementary school and after higher education. It's also accessibility, like creating the right message for the right group of our customers. So that's why customer service, store managers, system architects who design everything and who has to think how to make it work and make sure that all those challenges will be addressed, product owners, and of course tech teams. Because without technology is a tool, but without that tool, we will be missing a lot of important elements. And I think this is not my favorite, I would say. I'm not that happy about that, but ability is temporary. And why I'm not happy about that? Because I'm 45, and I'm actually starting becoming some kind of disabled. Yes, so it's not something that I was born with. But now I start thinking about it more. That why it's really temporary. I usually use my laptop or let's talk about my phone. How I use my phone. I just take my phone and use it with my thumb. Look what's happening there. But let's imagine that I fall from this stage and break 2 hands. It's like, how should I use my phone now? Okay, I will have to navigate my phone with my voice, or maybe some different way. So and it's temporary. I will have those hands broken. I don't know, a few weeks, or maybe more. And for this time, what should I do? Like just disappear somewhere, hide? No, I want to live. I want to do something. So I'm temporarily disabled, and I may be a very regular customer, but for those few weeks, I'm changing my group. I'm becoming a different type of customer. And of course, that this is this example is kind of extreme. First of all, it's pretty soft here, so I wouldn't break my hands, hopefully. But when we can see a more practical examples of temporal disability, let's see it using our phones again. And in Miami, it's actually a perfect example. Let's try to use it like at noon outside. If the contrast of the content of the store is not properly designed, if our device cannot really improve it, it's almost impossible. With the bright sun, no, I cannot do anything. And I want to make a purchase. I want to pay a lot of money for something, and then I finish it, and next day I will figure out that I bought completely different product because I didn't see that. So I was temporarily disabled, and because of that, at some point, all of us, we are people with special needs, and actually each of us have some special needs, and sometimes all of us has to use some assistive technologies. Because like I said that usually the most common example are people with vision problems. But we can have a completely a much broader range of issues. And that may be physical, like my falling from the stage. It may be speech. If I cannot speak, how can I communicate with the customer service? There is only a phone number, and I really need to know something about the product. I cannot ask my question. There may be cognitive, and I just don't understand. I see the website, I see the description of the product, but I don't understand. It's using the language that I don't understand. And it may be also auditory. I cannot hear, and something happens. Some message is presented this way, and it will not get to the right point. I just cannot receive it. So the temporary disability, it actually can affect all of us. And another example is that I usually have to wear glasses, but today I forgot them. And now, on stage, I'm kind of disabled. It's not easy for me to look at my prompter to see if I'm on the right slide. And usually, it's perfectly fine. But because I just forgot glasses, and it's like, oops, I'm disabled. So this is one thing, that each of us can get into a different customer group because of many reasons. But all of us will get into age group. Like if we like it or not, we are getting older. And this is actually also a very interesting point why accessibility is now becoming a thing. Because internet was created by young people. And young people didn't really care about disability because it will happen someday in the future, and it's all about people that we don't deal with. They are not my friends. I don't know any people who are disabled. So why to think about it? But now, 30, 40 years later, hey, instead of 20 years old, we may be 50 or 60 or 70. And what? I should stop buying goods because I'm older? No. Right now, being 45, 55, 65, 75, I actually have time and money. So I want to buy something, so please, let me buy it. Let me use the website. Of course, I cannot see. I have to stay much closer. Maybe my hands are shaking. And really, if designer designed the small button somewhere there and I'm spending 10 minutes trying to find the button add to cart, yeah? Okay, so please, let me do that. So the designer should know that if someone has problems, some physical problems with some kind of like navigating on the website and need more support for keyboard, that's all important, because with age we are losing a lot of our abilities. And numbers of people who are getting into this group is of course growing. And like we were talking about those, like a practical thing, but also a little bit of mission, that if we are doing everything accessible, we want to help others. But there are legal aspects. So we were talking about priorities, that accessibility is not always our top priority. I would say that very often is much farther. So governments are trying to encourage businesses to be more accessible. So we have all different types of legal regulations. And here is something that I'm really impressed. Usually, like I'm from Poland. Europe is usually leading the charge in terms of different pro-social activities and helping different groups with different needs. But now it's US who actually introduced the law that is enforcing accessibility much earlier. It's already 6 years of ADA law that is actually forcing people to think about accessibility. So even if we don't care about it, okay, maybe we should. But what about this law? That's actually surprising. Still, so many people don't know about this law or don't care, but we can see that more and more are learning in the hard way. So the number of legal cases is growing every year. Of course, the leader is New York. Yeah, like a great place for lawyers. But actually, more and more states are following. And of course, eCommerce is growing, but we can also see like the numbers of claims. And what is interesting in those statistics, like I don't want to cover all of that. There are very interesting reports on UsableNet. This is like a company really specializing in accessibility. I really encourage you to look at those reports. They are showing that there are a lot of claims. They are actually covering similar problems, or that companies have multiple legal cases. So they don't learn. They just try to apply a widget and then, again and again. So this is how it looks in US. In Europe, we are trying. We are getting ready. We are almost there. But like the European Union is amazing, but it has one big issue. It's really not fast in making decisions, so it takes ages. And finally, in 1 hour, in one and a half year, in June 2025, we will have a law that is kind of similar to ADA. It will be European with Accessibility Act. So right now, it's also easier to talk about accessibility in Europe, because like without legal regulations, it's really hard. Yeah? People say, yes, accessibility is important, and goodbye. They start thinking about different channels, sales, whatever. So this is important. And here in US, we already have it. So it's like it's just a very practical thing. We want to save thousands of dollars. Okay, let's think about accessibility. In Europe, hopefully we have the same tool or something similar. And it's interesting to look at typical claims. Like what are all those legal stuff about? What is so inaccessible that I have to pay so much money? And when we look at that, it's actually so basic. Something so simple to fix. We have problems for visually impaired people. They just don't see, so they cannot access the information, and the information is not accessible in any other way. Okay. Yeah. But we have also problems with videos without captions. So this is a very common situation. But when we think about videos without captions, let's think about a broader audience. I told you about the temporary disability, and captions are also super important for people who are not speaking natively English. For me, captions for some of like English language movies especially if they are using like a little bit faster language, or maybe a slang, or maybe like a different variations or local variations of the language. Captions for me are the only way to really understand the context. So like this is something that will help me understand the product or service. And WCAG, different technical problems, is of course easy to spot issue and like a easy thing just to submit and ask for money. But this is my favorite. Super simple. Lack of accessibility statement. A small page that is telling the truth how the store is accessible. It's not a rocket science adding just a simple page with content. And the last one, the last common claim is the best ever. Accessibility widget was a blocker. So like our beautiful tool that we are paying some money to fix our accessibility issues is actually causing accessibility issues. Okay, that's it. Okay, so when we have money, we have a lot of money because those billion of people. This is a potential of $6.9 billion missing somewhere there because people cannot access our products. I will speed up a little bit because I'm already close to my time. So this number is huge. Yeah? Like before we were talking about number of potential clients. Now we are talking about money. How much money is somewhere there and could be really used for our goods or services. And deadlines. If we don't prioritize accessibility from the very beginning of the project, we always fix it later when it's too late for everything. And then we have to do everything from scratch, and then there's like it's urgent, it's emergency. People are working overtime at night, during the weekend, just to protect from claims, or just doing something that could be done without any extra cost from the very beginning when doing a project with web standards and good understanding of accessibility. And money is here. Money is in the age. That's the slide I showed you with people entering the different age groups. This is like a huge factor to think about the importance of accessibility. So this is like a global information, how the numbers are changing over years. But we can also see how it's not only that the number of people who are in the higher age group is increasing, but we also have a bigger number, like a percentage of people who are active buyers who are older. So there are like a different numbers. They both are telling one thing, that the group of our customers who need some kind of special approach and they need our accessibility is really growing and getting bigger. And there's also something like right now is getting more and more traction, that our clients thinking about brands who care. So even if we don't worry about anything else, like there is always a marketing aspect of that. Like if we do care, if our team do care, it helps. And if it's true care, it's even better. So, what about this accessibility? I think there are a couple important points. So something you can just leave this presentation and remember. Something what I think it's when you talk to your teams, your management, I use those arguments. It's not expensive. Accessibility doesn't have to bring extra costs if it's done the right way from the very beginning. Because those technologies are with us for years. We don't need to buy extra stuff, extra widgets, hire super expensive specialists to build accessible service. No, it's all there. It's just about understanding and choosing the right tools and right process. It's important that accessibility improves user experience for everyone. So taking care about accessibility in general, it improves customer experience. All I said about customer service and about accessing different informations is about improving our customer experience, even if we are not really in those groups who need it a lot. And of course, it's better to spend money somewhere else, not on lawyers, like defending from legal claims. So I think those are the most important arguments. It's not expensive, and it's just important to think about it. It will improve the experience and help us spend money in the right way. Okay, how to start and how to really approach it. It doesn't have to be complicated. So few points. Test your site. There are a lot of tools online, easy to access, and if you will need some help with that, feel free to reach out to me. I will be happy to share some information. What are the most interesting tools? You don't have to pay for that. It's like those tools are available. A lot of open source free tools. Maybe they are not perfect. They will not find all the issues, but they will help understand the general picture. And think about inventory, your websites, documents, digital products, multimedia, just to know what you have and make a check marks. It's also like a very good base for the accessibility statement. You know what you have and you know what is accessible or not. If something is not accessible, don't hide it. Say it in the accessibility statement that this part is not accessible because for some reason it cannot be yet. Create and publish accessibility statement. Super easy. It doesn't really need too much work. And I like this one. If we are like some of you may be merchants, if you are ordering a new project, you are talking to the agency, just ask them to make it accessible, to follow the right guidelines. And like this is not something extra. If they ask for, if they want to charge more for that, it's not okay, because it's not something special. Accessibility is something that with us, and we just have to think about it. That's it. So if you would like to learn something more about accessibility or ask about my resources, I'm always happy to share. So feel free to find me. I'm here all day. Right now, we don't have time for questions. I was a little bit over time. But I'm here at the lunch break after that, so feel free to find me or message me, whatever you like, and I will share all I know. So thank you very much, and see you.